And we are live. Welcome, everybody, and happy Monday, April 3rd. I am Savante, Lainey Savante, here with the amazing, I don't even know where to begin with this woman, this goddess, this visionary, but Kyla is in the house, Kyala Givehand, and
Hello.
I'm just telling you, the simpatico between us is just so, it's just bliss and heaven. And I'm so excited for you who don't know her. And for those who do know her, already know how amazing she is. But
Yeah.
she walked into my world. Now it's been a couple years, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
I feel like it was 2020 when I joined in, but it might have been 21, but it's been a couple of years. We're hovering right around 2 somewhere. So,
And here's how it went. We hold the name has now changed, but at that time it was Food Healing Oracle Deck Reader Certification. But in any case, this bright shining light comes into our training program and starts making poetry with just about everything that we were talking about. She turned food into like this like mystical adventure more than like, the rest of the group were, grokking it, but she
right?
would just stop. She would make all these poetic uh, you know, gestures and just quips. And I was just like, who is this woman? I love her. But for
That's
those of
sweet.
you who don't, I'm going to take a minute,
Mhm.
and I know she will too, and talk about herself. But I just want to kind of read a little bit of her bio, just so you get a sense of who she is. Here we go. She's a multi passionate mystic, published poet, and fountain pen collector. Like, who writes that in her bio? Someone
That's a very important part of my bio.
You know what? You do have to reference what brings you passion. I think you got to lead with that. So you did. Oh, and then who is passionate about astrology, sacred geometry, mandalas, other ancient intuitive guidance system, and storytelling. Wow, we don't have anything in common so far. I just said.
Right.
What most impressed me, besides everything I've already mentioned, is how
Mhm.
quickly she attuned to the teachings, and now I see why. And that
Mhm.
she and her amazing husband have created all really an empire. And now, because I get to teach this Saturday, and we will talk more about that. But she is the creator. Oh, and by the way, you might see me having to take a minute to remove a few people because we had a little glitch and a link got sent to our green room versus the main room,
Oh,
but you all will find
oh,
your way. But
hi,
anyway,
y'all.
she is the creator of Mixed Media Inspiration Deck, the visionary behind Pull Paint Pen. Woo woo! SoulCollage facilitator and trainer, a level 2 Reiki practitioner, and many other things she does. But she's also soon to be not only level 1 in level, but level 2 with intuitive food therapy. So everybody meet the amazing, officially, Kyla Gay.
Yay, thank you so much, Lainey, for that. And I am getting used to calling you Savante, but I'm going to get there with using your mystic name, which I love your
Oh, I
spiritual name.
love that because people
Yeah.
always say, "Is that your nickname? Is that your soul name? Is that your chosen name?" I
Mhm.
like mystic name,
Yeah,
but
it really
honestly,
is.
I was just driving. It was 2009, and God literally was like in the car. I'm looking around. It was like, "You are Savante." It was, I think I've explained that and shared that.
Yes.
Okay, Nicole, I'm going to be having to remove a few people. It looks like come around the front side.
Yes. Y'all
Yeah,
come
but
to the
it is
other
a
side.
mystic name.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am really, really honored to be having this conversation with you. Your experience of meeting me was equally that. So I came into this training with you not knowing what to expect. I think I like found you, signed up for the training, and entered the training within a matter of 7 days. Like it wasn't a lot of time between. And so I really did just step into the mystery, in regards to the Food Healing Oracle deck. And when I tell you that I came into the Zoom room of that training and instantly felt like I was home, it doesn't happen very often for me. Usually I'm like, okay, I'm a tiny bit out of place here, or I'm not quite I should probably just lean back a little bit, stay quiet. But I felt really,
Be a conscious observer.
exactly, exactly. Just going to witness here. I'm not going to speak or talk. Yeah. So it was very, like right out of the gate, I just felt like my voice was welcomed, that I was able to be fully present as my whole, full, authentic self, that I didn't have to tone down the woo or tone up the whatever, right? Like I just could come as I was. And that to me speaks volumes of what you've created. And so I'm just really happy to be a part of it. I really am.
Blessings. Thank you. And it's interesting that you would say what you just said on a few wonderful levels, because here we're gathering around the table breaking bread in the spirit of food. And isn't that what we do when we feel our best, is with our friends and our family and our community and our tribe, and really come together in such a beautiful way when we're eating and when we're bringing in that wonderful alignment. And so it kind of felt like that's what we were doing, is just like, I see you.
Yeah. And it was lovely to to just have something that I feel deeply and passionate about. My husband and I have spent a lot of time in our lives figuring out our relationship to food. And it has been a long and beautiful journey. And so when it was actually a friend of mine and fellow teacher in Pope and Paint, Kristen Radden, who sent me something about this deck. And I was like, what? Let me go look at this. And instant. I did not have to think about it. I did not have to second guess. I bought the deck spot on. Like there was no hesitation because I was like, oh, if I were going to create another deck, it would be one with food. And I was like, but why do I need to do that? These ladies have already done it. And so, that was, and not just created it, but channeled it. And I think that was the other piece that really felt important to me, is that this wasn't just like a la da da, we just want to have some fun and make it. This work has depth for the two of you. And so that to me speaks volumes. And then when I use it, I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. When you use a tool like this, and it gives you both confirmation and challenges you to do something different and shift something in your life, just so that needle will move towards the direction you want it to move. You can't make it up when you find a tool like that. You have to pay attention when it is that spot on to the questions you're asking and what you're looking for in your life. Like, that's how you know. So I feel,
Thank you. Well, I believe, and I just came back from this weekend teaching and speaking at the wonderful Spirit Fresh World, and met so many beautiful people. A lot of tears were shed. A lot of people with health challenges, they come up and they really say, this is what's going on, and how did you create this? And when you start to share at a woo fest, yes, it was channeled. I come from a multi-generational family. There are I'm trying to stay current while I do a little removing of people. Oops.
Listen, y'all, that was all my fault.
That's okay. You just wanted to give me the extra challenge. But when I was starting to share with them, yes, there is that channel divine guidance, that this was a dharma. But then when you start to tell them their scientific background, and that there's food science, and that there's merit to cosmology and chemistry, and how I work, it's interesting. I started to give my background and how really this is bridging spirit to science. I think it took them into a whole new level. And I'm sorry to all these people. You're all so wonderful, because now I know that's how many people love Kyla. They're all coming here because my people wouldn't do that.
I'm clicking the wrong link. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Well, one of the poignant pieces that happened this weekend, and it's so fresh and it stays with me so well. It's just only been 24 hours. But here I was, and you'll appreciate this, talking about the deepening of our relationship, and mostly our relationship to intuition. And that's what you're teaching so much in all your platforms as well. It's how to go inside and access what is already. And that's kind of the topic, which we are sort of unfolding, is really demystifying spirituality to live a life fulfilled and accessing it. And I don't know how to tell these people except just remove them. So I'm sorry, lovelies. But there was a woman who came up to me, and they usually tell me what's going on with them or what has happened to them. I have 120. I have a good majority of the cards laid out between the two decks. And I always offer to give somebody a 1-card reading so they can experience, because it's a new concept. It's totally unique, but I think it's now catching on 4 years later. And I said, let me pull a card for you. She says, I don't think you need to. She goes, I'm looking at all these cards and I can't stop looking at your red cabbage card. And then she goes on to tell me that she's a breast cancer survivor. And of course, I talk all about how red cabbage is so good for you, especially the fights against breast cancer, helps breast tissue. I give presentations where organs look like the foods.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my specific picture is red cabbage and a breast under x-ray mammography.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started to share that, she just looked at me, wept. I looked at her, wept. And then I handed her the book and then read it to her. And then she got a deck. And I just realized in that moment, she up-leveled her own understanding of how she is in her own truth just by tapping in. I didn't even pull the card. She said, I just want to know what's going on with that red cabbage. And it was that moment where she can up-level her own understanding that it's all inside, right?
Yeah. All inside. Yeah. And it's so funny. I was looking at the title that you gave for this presentation, Demystifying Spirituality. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope people don't come thinking I have all the answers for how to demystify spirituality. That's a huge thing that people have been trying to do for centuries. And I was like, however, I do know that when Lainey and I get together, who knows what's going to happen? We might give y'all some answers you've never heard.
Well, I read that, and obviously I pulled a little bit of that from your bio because you said that. She's on a mission to just demystify creativity, spirituality, archetypes, intuition.
Absolutely.
And so when I'm giving readings and healings for people, I'm always listening and I grab, oh, that lights up for me. And that really lit up for me because I felt so aligned that I'm demystifying spirituality, that yes, spirit can talk to you through what's on your dinner plate. Yeah. So that spoke to me because yes, actually we do have a God consciousness in ourselves. Yes, food and Mother Nature trying to get your attention, that, as my mama said to me, more than 3, leave it be when we're talking about ingredients in something. And I say I have a book coming out in June, and I wrote, oh, my mama the hippie. But, at the end of the day, here I grow up touting that because simple is best. Don't you think?
Simple is best. Yeah. It's funny, the demystifying piece, I think, I thought about it a lot because I was like, that's likely going to come up during this conversation.
But you brought it up.
I know. Right.
Yeah.
No, it is. It is in my bio. It lives on all my pages on my website. You can find it throughout lots of things that I talk about and say, I want to help people demystify. And spoiler alert, it all boils down to your journey within, period. Like everything about demystifying creativity starts in you. It doesn't start external. And a lot of people think that they got to look outside for things, but really and truly all the answers are in us, right? And that's what the tools help us do. So we do need tools because we live in a world where we've been conditioned not to trust what we feel, what we hear coming out of our own conscious self, subconscious, in our dreams, like, oh, dreams, they're not, they don't mean anything. They don't, right? We don't realize that all of these things are how the divine gets through and gets to us, right? And so if I really was going to demystify it for people, I would say it starts within. That's the spoiler alert, right? Like you've got to do the work of getting to know who you are, because then you can hear your voice and you can discern your voice and the voice of God from all the other noise that happens in the world, because we live in a noisy world. There's a lot of stuff coming at us all the time.
Blessings. That's so accurate. I mean, just even today, I was working with a client who just said the same thing. That is just really the crux of how to navigate the air element, or, I always speak in elements, but how to navigate what's going on in here, bringing it down through the heart, anchoring it and grounding so we can have a sure footing.
Yeah.
And part of that, of course, and I bring it back to food in that sense, is how do we ground ourselves? Well, how do we become ungrounded or grounded? What are we putting in our bodies that is either contributing to that creativity, contributing to that intuition, contributing to any of those elements of enlightenment, are vibrationally and frequency wise. So what is going inside? And it's interesting hearing you and many others who are, to me, enlightened, on the path, working it, and come from there in saying there is a relationship with food that feels sometimes a little needing to be demystified, because there's so much out there. Talk about chaos and things out there. Keto, vegan, paleo, breatharian. Like, what?
Listen, lady, I tease my husband all the time when we're fasting, and he'll go, I think I'm not going to have smoothie or this or that. And I'm like, babe, we're not doing a breatharian fast. We're not, that's not what we're doing here. Right? So
Right?
I tease him a lot about that. But, you know, if it's okay with you, I'd like to pause for one moment. And know I'm seeing some people in the chat that are from my world, from my community. Hi, y'all. Love y'all. Thank you for being here. Can we just talk for a minute about you so we can tell our folks who you, I mean, I know your people know who you are, but can we talk a little bit about who you are and show, we keep talking about the decks. We haven't shown, you know, just so folks are like, you know, people who might be like, well, I'm here. I don't know what we're talking about right now, but I want people to know why we keep talking about food, why food is coming up in this conversation. Yeah. So
let's do that. Let's do that. Thank you. So first off, welcome to all these wonderful new people. We call this community over here the cherries, which is our community card. But we're more than the food healing oracle deck here. This is the Nourish Your Soul show. And I'm Eleni Savante Wolkin, and my mystic name is Savante. And I come from a very long lineage of mystics and storytellers and psychic intuitives. And I've been blessed to have grown up in that household. And I have always had a major passion around food and been blessed not only from the time that I was told that I died of a food poisoning in a past life at a very, I was 8 years old. I think I wrote that 68. And I don't know if you knew that,
no,
but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember clearly running around the little mystical metaphysical store where my mom was getting readings and hanging out with all her friends. And a reader looked over and said, you know, she died early of food poisoning in a past life.
Wow.
And wouldn't it come to be that in this life that not only am I moving in a career as I've always been passionate about food, a little on the hypochondriac, scared of food, afraid of food preservation. And then I ended up getting my degree in food science and dietetics and nutrition. But at the same time, I happened to be in college. I was delivering food one day, and unbeknownst to me, it happened to be Michael Jackson's chef. And one thing led to another, and she was a beautiful woman who was a Sikh, wore a turban, was very active in the Kundalini 3HO community. And then it was my first entry into understanding consciousness. Even though I've been around consciousness my whole life, I started to understand consciousness around what we put in our body. Sure, yoga, breathing. It was all these major, next level stuff, including what is going inside. And that was 35 years ago. And I got to see what I was cooking for Yogi Bhajan at the time he was alive, and work with all the top celebrities and see what they were choosing. And anyways, my life has been very fulfilled in all these other things I've done, but food has always been a passion. I've worked with chefs, obviously, and then I became a food healer, and I've been a reader and intuitive, and done a lot of things in Hollywood and entertainment, but my passion has been food. And years later, I met my former partner in produce, Joanna, and we created these beautiful decks, and really kind of the rest is history that brings you current. But then recently, earlier this year, I was given another blessing and told from the angels that there was a lot more to this, because decks are a part of my bigger world and dharma, and that we are to be teaching people how to be more intuitive. And so thus I became the founder of the Center for Intuitive Food Therapy. And there's a whole series of practices in addition to the deck that really provides a way for each of us to become our own intuitive food therapists. And so now I teach those courses and other teachings, and we'll be collaborating on some future projects to bring that divine essence in even more grounded for people to realize that the refrigerator has a story to tell. What you're choosing to put on your plate is a story. What you're craving when you're going to the grocery store, the farmer's market, is a message. And when we start aligning into Mother Nature's wisdom, and we can realize that we're nature, that we can start to identify a lot more. And that creativity that you teach and the visionary programs that you teach and I teach can really come online for people to have more of that fulfilled life. That was in a nutshell. Would that work?
That was beautiful and amazing. And yes, so I think the reason I wanted you to do that is because I know a lot of people know what I do, and they know I lean woo woo very, very heavily,
Yeah.
and that I do a lot with creativity. And people who know me intimately know my relationship with food and the importance of, I read every label. People hate going to the grocery store with me because I'm like, let me see what's on there. Right. And I'm checking. I
Yeah.
have a list of
Oh,
things
yeah.
that I try to avoid. And I'm like, okay, does this have anything? And then, like I am very hyper conscious of it. And I'm not perfect. I mean, some days I have, like, especially when I'm traveling, sometimes I have to eat things that I'm like, right. But I do the best I can as often as I can. And I have tried so many things in terms of, right. And what it all boils down to is my body actually knows. My body knows. I don't have to overcomplicate it. I can literally, there are things I can taste one taste of, and I'm like, no, I'm not supposed to be eating this. I don't care how organic it might be or if my body tells me no, it's a hard pass for me. I don't have to consult anybody else or anything else. And I think that to me happens for me. I have my own sort of health journey that I've been on and things that I had to overcome in my health journey. And so through all of that, I think that I just became more trusting of my intuitive knowing. Like if my body tells me no, that cannot be superseded by a doctor or anybody else. Like I know what my body knows, you know what I
There
mean?
you
I
go.
can feel it. And so this system for me maps that. Food. Damon and I used to talk a lot about food to friends and family. And what we realized is it's a hard conversation for a lot of people. It's a hard conversation for a lot of people too, because what in essence, just even asking you or saying or suggesting that somebody shift something in their diet or in their lifestyle around food, it almost feels like it's an attack on their values or attack on, like they feel judged instantly, if,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
So it's so true. It's so
yep,
true. I was thinking that, and I want to kind of move on from food
yep,
because, yes,
yeah,
we can talk about food, but
yes,
I
yes,
also want the people who are here in our community to know more about you because they
mhm,
know you
mhm,
from taking our courses,
right.
but little did they know. And of course, now I know you have the much bigger world. And here was my first insight.
Mhm,
And I don't even know if you know this, but I've had a tarot and oracle deck card in my hand since since before I even came into the planet, but really my whole life.
right.
But one of my favorite authors
Mhm,
is Joanna Colbert.
mm,
And so yeah, Joanna Powell Colbert. And literally there's a billion decks out there. We do know that.
mhm,
But every now and then one gets right into my frequency that, oh
mhm,
wow,
mhm.
I'm aligned entirely. And then one day I'm reading her newsletter and she is saying, I'm going to be presenting at the amazing retreat with Kyla Givehand. I'm like, Kyla Givehand? The one who just took my class? Like it took me like a minute to like, who is this Kyla? Because she's hanging around the people I like. And even so then I immediately had even a deeper love for you. So
Mm,
then I now would like you to kind of use that as a segue
yeah,
to
for sure.
share what is that world that me now luckily to be part of, and now
Mm,
prior Joanna and
mhm,
people like us who've been circling this world of woo on
yeah.
a much deeper level, why we're all coming into your world and loving it.
What a beautiful little segue. I don't even know. I'm probably blushing right now. Okay.
Also
So
deserve though.
thank you. So Joanna, yes, amazing. I'm so happy to know she was your segue entry into this world. So that's just beautiful. And also I'm gonna lean this way. There's a picture right there of the elder harvest elder, and that is a painting from Joanna.
Oh my goodness.
That little
Ooh,
picture there.
chills
Yeah.
and a little jealousy. I met her once. We were at the reader studio and I told her I'm a big fan. And anyways, that's
She's
that.
amazing. So yeah, so it's interesting. This is the 7th year of Pulp and Paint. And when I started this class, like pretty much every class that I create is something I want to take. Like it's a class that I wish I had had at some point, or a class that I'm currently like, okay, I can't find what I'm looking for. I'm gonna just create it myself. And so 7 years ago, that's exactly what I did. I was like, I can't find a class that's doing like, we're going to pull cards, we're going to journal what we see, and then we're going to take it into our creative world. And so I reached out to a few people who I thought who were already in my community in one way or another. Either they were clients that I had been coaching, or they were people I had taken classes from at some point. And I just said, hey, I want to try to do this thing. It's going to be called Pull, Pen, Paint. And I just like alliteration. The paint, you don't have to paint. Creativity falls under that umbrella. But I like the PPP. So I went with paint. And I was like, I have no idea if anyone will be there besides us, me and you, the teachers. I don't know if anybody will sign up for this. I have no idea. I said, so it may be a really small class. If you're good with that, I'd love to have you come and teach. And I think I emailed like 17 or 18 people. And I think everybody but one person was like, yes. And the one person who couldn't was like, the timing doesn't work. And I was like, it's fine. It was a 30-day class. It was like, we're just going to get on for the month of March. And we're just going to, right. And it was supposed to just be this really playful, we're just going to come. And when I tell you the number of people that signed up that first year, my mind was blown. I thought it was some sort of mistake. Like that's how I was just like, there are other people in the world who want to do this. And not just that, but people that had been following me for years were saying yes to this. And I was like, how have we not had these conversations in my community that this is the work that I love and do? And so anyway, it was just all the things that I had done up until that point in my life all came together as one beautiful, it was like, this is why you're here, to do this work of helping people discover who they are on a deeper level. And it was really and truly, I cannot put it in words. It's the kind of program that you kind of have to be a part of to understand. And I know that sounds crazy. All the marketing gurus probably right now are like, oh, can't believe she said that. Because it's hard to market something that is so transformational for people. I mean, the things that people say.
You're preaching to the choir right there.
Like it's hard to get it into that little marketing word so you can. And so I just stopped trying. And instead, what I try to do is just tell people, here's what we're doing over here. And if any of it, if one little piece of it resonates with you, come on in and leave the rest behind, because people tell me all the time, this is like getting a PhD. I feel like I'm in a graduate school program. There's so much content. There's so much this.
Well, that was even like, woo, that even kind of went to me. You said it's like diving into the deep end, but only just for me having to get a quick kind of entry into the world. You've been doing it 7 years and now you got 1 billion people who follow. Yeah. Well, amazing.
It's just, I mean, here's what's the beautiful thing about it too, is we're not doing rocket science over there, y'all. What we're doing is trying to get people to just tap in to who they are, learn who you are, using some ancient intuitive systems that have been here way before any of us and will continue to be here way after all of us are gone in this lifetime. But this work, I'm so passionate about it. And I feel honored to have been chosen to do it the way that I feel compelled to do it. And I don't have to try to fit into anybody else's mold. I feel really happy that I did it at a time where other people weren't doing anything like this. I get emails every now and then from people who will send me something and say, is this person trying to create a PPP? And I was like, we are not even going to worry about that, because here's
Violet, I'm sorry. Can I just stop you? Yeah. She got my attention, Miss Tina. I'm only a month in. My life has changed and my mind is blown, and it is graduate school. I love it here.
Thank you,
That kind of just sums it up. I had to stop because there's a lot of people writing stuff.
Yeah, no worries.
That way. Yeah. Can we segue a little into what you do? Like you find people like me, and now suddenly we're all here, including this Saturday, which we'll probably be talking about momentarily.
Saturday. So what I do is, people are going to laugh at this process, but I'm usually just kind of channeling in what does the community want for next year. I'm listening and paying attention throughout the year as we move forward. I'm noticing and listening to what my current teachers do that they aren't necessarily teaching in my community, but they have a skill set in. And so I'm like, next year, maybe you should be coming to do that thing or this thing. So I'm always kind of listening in to, I'm very obedient to universe first and foremost. So if I get a download from universe that says this year you need to do this, this, and this, that's exactly what I do, because it's never wrong. It's always exactly that. And so we are doing astrology. We're doing human design. We are learning intuition in general. We are just learning. So I usually say it's intuition boot camp. That's pretty much what it is, right? You're coming to learn how to bring your intuition fully online. Some people think that they are intuitive. Everybody's intuitive. Let me go back. Every single person on this planet walking around right now is intuitive. But some people call intuition something that it is not, right? And what they think it means is like, oh, I just close my eyes and just, like for instance, people who say they do intuitive painting or abstract painting, they think that means just make a mess, just do whatever, just put anything on the page. I'm like, where are you? What are you listening to? Where's that coming from? Are you paying attention to the nudges when something tells you to go paint green? Are you doing that? Are you listening to those nudges? So it's really important in Pull Pin Paint that I create a container where we can meet them where they are, because some people are going to come and they're going to have no tarot experience. Some people are like, I don't even know what intuition is yet. Some people come and they're like, I've been doing tarot for 40 years. And other people are like, I've been doing astrology for 30, right? So we have people of all ranges. But the bottom line is all of us can meet at one spot together.
Nice. And
sit alongside each other no matter what level we are. It is an amazing community of people. My teachers they are stellar. I vet teachers. I don't just go, oh, this person looks good. They got a big following and no. I've taken a class. I've read your blog. I've gone to see if you've been interviewed by other people. I listen to how you speak. I look at your energy and how you show up. I do not just pick people haphazardly or willy-nilly. A lot of the teachers that are there are people we have a few teachers that have been teaching with us for 7 years. But every year I try to bring in new energy, because there's so many people in the world doing good work. And I want to make sure that I can highlight the ones that resonate with the work I'm doing, and whose work I resonate with, which is how you are on this list. And we tried to make it happen last year, but it just did. Like last year was just crazy pants with you all bringing out the second deck, and it was just it just didn't work. But divine timing. I trust divine timing. We needed to do it when you had both of these lovely decks in the world.
Well, interestingly, while you were talking, I was guided to pull a card from the second deck, since you're talking about second deck, second helpings, and I was saying if because I know you could talk a long time about it, you have so much to share with that, and I thought, you know what? Let's just sum it up, and I'm going to ask the Food Healing Oracle deck second helpings if I could pull one card to represent.
If you got this blue,
I got it right. But
if you got this blue lotus card,
what?
I said, if you got that blue lotus card, I'm just out of here right now.
No, it's not the blue lotus card, which is our intuition card, but I think you're going to be very pleased. And by the way, it wasn't, betrayal or anything dark. It was like, all right, Spirit, I don't want to embarrass myself right here. Her community is watching. What would you say, angels, would represent the deck, not the deck, the communities that you have, particularly Pull Paint Pen? Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Integration.
Oh,
can you believe that? Is that mic drop or what?
I love it.
I looked at it while you were talking. I'm like, okay, finished. I got to show her and everybody. If that's not talking about the integration of the soul to the mind, body, spirit, to everything I do, you do, we do, all of us coming together.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Oh my God, I can't even. Let's see, this year is the year of deepening. Last year was the year of implementation. The year before that was the year of integration. And when I tell you that what's coming next, I can't talk about it right this moment. Universe hasn't given me permission to just speak it out yet. But what I can say is that it's bigger than me. It's bigger than me.
I say that a lot all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's what these teachings are way bigger than anyone who
Yeah.
brought it forward, and that is without question. I do want to talk about, because I'm looking at the time, and I want to
Yes.
maybe see if we can integrate into a reading, but not quite yet.
Okay.
I do want to talk about two things. One
Mhm.
is I'm teaching on Saturday, so I want to talk about that. And
Yes.
two, you have themes for the month,
Mhm.
and is it month? And so April is the body.
Yes, the body, physical health.
Yeah.
And then we kind of map that to working with the body for those who are like, physical health, that's so big. What am I doing? But we use that throughout our entire community. It's a part of a framework that my husband and I have been working with and working on for years at this point. And it's a part of what we call the Rich Life philosophy. And Rich stands for radically intent on cultivating happiness. And
Oh.
so within that, we have 12 radical intentions. And so our themes this year are based on the 12 radical intentions. And so we started with silence in the month of March. And silence is actually the one that is threaded through the entire system. Every month we touch back on it because silence is so necessary. You cannot hear yourself if you
Yes.
are always talking or listening to other people or listening to music, or you always got noise around you. You have to be able to get silent so you can really hear. And that's one of the ways the physical body comes next. It's our second theme, because when anybody out here who knows, when you are chronically ill, when you even have even a paper cut, like anytime your physical self is compromised in any way, small or big, everything shifts. Our reality shifts. Our relationship to people shifts. Like if I'm in pain, it's really, I have to really work hard to also remember to be kind and to be right, because I'm in pain, right? And so the body, starting with physical health, because if people can just understand that physical health isn't as complicated as we might think, and a lot of it starts with what we put in our body. And that's why you are perfect to have in this
Yeah.
thing, because so much of your work is around learning how to map intuition and food, and how to let those things be
Ooh.
in conversation with each other. Yeah.
Well, you're soon going to be a certified intuitive food therapist. Just
Yeah.
the ringing of that feels so good. Like
Me too.
intuitive food therapy, because food is a therapy, and we need to learn to embrace it, because that is what is nourishing the temple and
Mhm.
truly nourishing us to be all the things that we're looking for, and to shed the things we're not.
Yeah.
And interestingly, you talked about stillness. I've been planning, you probably know, a big Costa Rica retreat. I wish it was here tomorrow, but it's next year. And I too, they really do vet the leaders. And I just met with 17. I was there last week in Costa Rica, and they vetted these 17 leaders who will be there leading these profound retreats over the next
Wow.
year. And interestingly, as I'm creating all these activities, one of the things was no activity, stillness,
Still.
sitting
Yeah.
right there, listening to nature, being in
Mhm.
the rainforest, listening to the ooh, 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 and all the things that I did. And it was like, this is what my soul required, is to
Yep.
just be.
Yep.
And stillness plays a huge part of that.
It
And
was.
anyways, but
Yeah.
I also wanted to, okay, so let's move into this weekend.
Mhm.
Do you want to
Wait,
intro?
yes, I
Well,
was
go
just
ahead. I want you to respond, and then we'll go.
okay, go ahead.
No, you go. I
Oh,
know
okay.
you.
I thought you were saying something. Well, yes, what I want to say is the reason that I invited Lainey to teach this year, multiple reasons. Aside from the obvious, she's amazing. She's a channel. She does all this same work, but she does this beautiful work. She has a deck. She understands tarot. She gets us. Because that's the other thing. I have to bring in teachers that understand what we're doing over here.
Mm,
Is because so many of our practitioners in pulp and paint already have a basic understanding, somewhat. We got some newbies who are still finding their way, but most of them have a basic understanding of the major arcana and what that is, and how we're using these archetypes to get to know ourselves better, how we're working with these archetypes to tell our own stories, to find our own answers, because they live in us already. And so the idea, and we have a lot of people in our community who struggle, not a lot, but there are many who struggle with chronic illness, chronic pain, things that show up in the body that have made it really difficult for them to thrive and to live in a world where they feel whole and complete and happy and healthy. And so
Seen.
mapping, yeah, and seen
Seen,
and heard.
acknowledged, received. I
All
get it. Oh,
yes. And so bringing in the food element, because I always talk about being a kitchen witch, and I like to work with things in the kitchen. This is another tool that marries, I think, intuition, working with decks, working with questions, right? Because a lot of what we do is about questioning. That's where the pinning part comes in, and pull, pin, paint, right? We're constantly, going back to like, what is my soul saying? What is my intuition telling me? What is my, right?
yeah.
So Lainey does this beautiful thing where she has mapped the food healing oracle deck to the 22 major arcana. And I was like, you can't make it up. We got, like, this is the kind of thing we got to have a conversation around. And the people in my community are, I think, ready for this. I think they're ready to begin looking at, because food is our medicine, right? It's the first medicine before you get a pill prescribed to you. It's our medicine. We can eat things that are beneficial to the body. We can eat things that are somewhat neutral and just behave as food, or we can eat things that are kind of like poison in the body, right? And so understanding our relationship to food, I think, is really important. And just knowing that. So anyway, I'm happy that you are coming on Saturday
Thank you.
to guide us through this process. And for those that are listening who are maybe not in pulp and paint, I know the first question is going to be, do you have a way that we can see it without having to be in pulp and paint? At this time, it isn't. But I do know that Lainey has her own courses and things that she teaches. And whenever it circles back around in her community, I know that she's really mapping this one. She's keeping, her content is her content, but she's keeping in mind that she's coming into pulp and paint and giving us a little bit of extra little love. That's pulp and paint love.
Let me add a little to that, just to get people interested maybe in coming Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Two things. One is, yes, I'm going to be teaching that. And I have I don't have anything current after this Saturday with the first deck, because my teachings are moving above. Like, we have a second deck and there's more cards to look at. And so I don't know when. So if you are interested in learning this, and we talked about archetypes, we talked about food, and we talked about the 22 major arcana, but we're going to do a deep dive into truly what the hero's journey is about, because we're all on one. We may be at different parts of that cycle, and but we all are on one, as well as we all eat. And so really looking from going from the fool to the world, and what foods will take us there at those times when we need it, will be a pivotal class. But what you've heard so far, hopefully, if you're not involved yet, you should be. And this is why, because I'm just one of many teachers who are bringing it, and bringing it to open heart for the whole year. And so the link is there. I put it at the beginning. If you scroll back in your comments, I put a link there, and it'll take you right over to Kyla's world. So I encourage you all to go do that, because yes, I'm going to bring it on Saturday for y'all, but really, I think everything will make sense with everything else you're learning. And of course, I want to be part of everything the whole rest of the year as well, and maybe catch all the replays.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 cents. So I'm going to just put that little promo up again, and we can just give you the details, because we would want them to sign up prior to that, right? Because they're ready to go that would be 11. Let's see, you said it's 12. Let's just get those timings right, because I always get those wrong.
It's all good. It's at 11 a.m. Central, which is 12 p.m. Eastern. So
correct.
Yep.
Okay. I always get them reversed, and I don't want to make a mistake. So repeat that one more time, if you don't mind.
Yeah, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. And we're going to go for a couple hours, and there's the link as well. And absolutely invite you to share in this sacred space. It really is one of the most popular classes. And I'm so sorry, these people keep coming.
Here's something I have to say. I just got a text message from someone, I'm not going to call you out, I see you in the chat, who was like, do we have to have the food healing oracle deck in order to do the class on Saturday? I would say you should have it on its way to you. If you don't have it on Saturday, that's fine, because you may not, but you should have it on its way to you, because after the class you're going to want to have it. I trust that.
No question.
Yeah.
I mean, I just reflecting again, and I work with so many people on the daily now that I'm out there and doing so many presentations around. And interestingly, when I was in Costa Rica, they were giving these 5-star meals all day long. And then all the 17 leaders like, what are we eating? I was like food interpreter, and they just kept coming. What is our meal? And then when I'm telling the chef, do you realize what you've prepared? For instance, and then we'll move on. They had these fresh juices from the gardens right there of the Costa Rican jungles, and one of them was soursop, the most on the planet. And they brought out a drink. So for our readers, you're going to know what this is. They brought out soursop and strawberry blend. Well, soursop in our deck is miracles, and strawberries love. And I said, we are drinking in the miracles of love as we speak. Close your eyes and feel that as it's going in. And people were like, should you have the deck? Of course you should have the deck, because we want you to know when you're this is for your highest and best. This is for you to nourish your body temple, and then you can learn why, not only from this class, but just in general for yourself. Yeah. So I'd say that more from love, from strawberries, more yes, you should buy the deck, more of like, have this as your companion to really deepen your relationship with what you're putting inside.
Absolutely. Yeah. Miko is asking, if I buy now, will I get it by Saturday?
I have a feeling you will. Tomorrow's the big shipping day. So if you can, yes. And then Kyla can tell you how to get there.
Awesome. Susan said she ordered one last Wednesday, and it arrived on Friday. There you go.
Yes, we try to be pretty quick here. So we want to get you nourished. And our tagline is, you'll never look at food the same way again. And it really is true. And I have to say, our first deck came out in 2020, and there were 60 foods. For those who know Oracle, you usually see Oracles around 44 cards. But we're like, no, we got to just fill them up with 60, even though we had more. And then after working with food for 2.5 years, people kept saying, what about this food? What about that? I'm hungry for more. I'm hungry for more. So we're like, okay. So we had to wait for it to come in. And then last year it channeled in, and it was 60 more foods plus 4 bonus. So now you can really work in your would you call it a kitchen witch? You could be a kitchen witch with 124 foods, really from exotics to your everyday, whether it's raspberry to durian or anything in between. We're teaching people that there are places, we have a lot of people around the world who love our decks, not just the US. And their fields, their mountains, their gardens are their medicine cabinet. They're not going and buying things processed in these inner aisles. So that is their way of medicinally taking care of themselves. So we do introduce foods that you might not have heard of, and that's on purpose. And we want you to integrate jackfruit, what it is to really see, because we're a global community. We all eat wherever we are. So with that said, I can't wait to do the session this weekend.
Me too.
Meet some of you, meet as many who can come, and really be in the presence of what you've created, Kyla. I'm just really honored myself to be part of it this year.
Thank you. Thank you, Lainey. I've been waiting on, I've been asking, when's the tarot class coming back? When is the tarot class coming back? So, like in true fashion, I said this at the very beginning of this interview with you. I create the classes I want to take. So I invite the teachers that I want to learn from. And I've been trying to get this class specifically in my calendar, make it work, the time and it just never happened. And I'm so happy that you were able to do it for us this Saturday, and that you said yes, because I feel like this is going to up-level my experience. Like I am a lifelong student. I never feel like I'm done learning. I think that's a dangerous place to be, where you're like, I'm done learning. I know everything. Yeah, no.
I hear that all the time. I say, you might want to learn these teachings. This is just life lessons. And,
Mhm.
oh, well, I'm at a point now where I teach my own classes. It's
Mhm.
like, well, so do I all day long. But boy, there's not a time I don't want to learn from any great
Gotta keep
master.
learning. The other thing I want to name too, Lainey, and I don't know, just for the PPP people, I'm going to tell you, I don't know that this will show up necessarily during Lainey's session. Maybe it will. I'm stepping into the mystery like all of you. Um, and that's what I like to do. I want to be a student in the classes. I don't want to know necessarily what teachers are going to do word for word. I just want to show up like the students. But one of the things I want to tell y'all about this deck too that I love is it's mapped to the elements. It's mapped to the chakra system. She talks about the intuitive downloads that came through she and Joanna in the way that they did this, or Joanne, in the way that they channeled the deck. And also it maps to other things, right? And so I just want y'all to lean into what you know, come there and just be open to receive, because all the things that we talk about in PPP are embedded in this deck. She's got science to back it. She's got
Sacred
the
geometry, love.
right, the sacred geometry pieces, right? So to me, this is what makes this such a beautiful, beautiful process that we're going to get to experience with Lainey. I can't wait.
I was looking for the celery card just to show everybody,
Yes.
a little sacred geometry. I don't know if you have it there. We'll see who gets it first. But I thought, since we're kind of coming to a close here, and I had the best time, and this kind of went in like 5 seconds, this beautiful time together. Where's that celery?
I know, I'm not finding it either.
Oh, wait, where's our vitality?
Here it is. Here it is. Here's celery. Here's celery.
Okay, thank you, love. You got it.
There
So
it
look at that. So wow, who knew Fibonacci was showing up? Of course, nature is so beautiful, and that
Absolutely.
sequence is showing right up in food, and we have it in so many others. We'll
Yep.
touch on all that, but I just thought we can leave a beautiful taste in everyone's mouth of what's to come. But maybe we can just, since we're talking about the body and we're talking about the physicality of your April theme, is maybe I'll pull a card. You can pull. What decks do you have there? Both 1 and
No,
2?
I have both 1 and 2. Yep.
So why don't you choose one from one deck, and I'll choose one from the other, and we'll just leave people with whatever message shows up, and we'll weave them together and just call it a night. And we thank you for all being here. But let's listen to this reading, and then we'll go more into it on Saturday. So tell me which deck you're pulling from, and I'll pull from the other.
I'm pulling from the first deck.
All right.
And I'm just going to ask the question, what can we as a community bring to our awareness for the month of April? What can we bring? All right, let's see what first. Oh, yeah, mangoes. Let's bring our awareness to joy.
Oh, well, absolutely. Well, so funny. Why don't you leave that card up for a second? Because I just pulled from the second. And bring it a little closer to the camera, if you will. So notice what I pulled. I pulled star fruit for tranquility. And what I'm noticing right away, if you haven't, is that those colors are spot on. Of course, we have every color. But here we're looking to get joy and tranquility into our body. So what does that look like? It's feeding it with what we know is meant for it and eliminating that which isn't. And it's bypassing the trappings of addictions, of whatever that is leading you to eat out of balance and come back into that tranquil state. And if you notice the yellow and you notice the orange and you notice we're really gearing now towards these sacral and solar plexus areas of the body, that's our power centers, and that's our area of creation, and that's our gut asking us for that joy and tranquility to be present. So let's do that and be so mindful of the foods that we're putting in from this moment on.
Yes. And I just want to say a couple of things. As soon as I pulled it, I was like, oh, we're talking solar plexus. We're talking about shining our lights into the world. We're talking about vital life force. But also, I just want people to notice, like, you've got this here, which I imagine is about to be eaten. And then here's some overflow, right? And that's what joy feels like. It feels like when you feel joyful, you feel like you both have enough for yourself. You are fully resourced, and also you have enough to give. And that's just what this feels like. And I think that joy can be that we can ripple joy out and still feel like we're being nourished and have exactly what we need for ourselves. So I love that we got this card.
Interestingly, when we were getting ready for the show, my name prior to Savante Love, I wrote Savante Shines. And
You did have that. I thought I just made that up, Lainey. I was like, did I see Savante shine?
I did, and then I changed it because I was feeling the love. But anyways,
I'm so happy you said it because I was thinking I was crazy. I'm like, I know it said Savante shines.
and then you said the word shines. But I'm just going to say to all of you stars out there, just think about all the beautiful work you're doing and pat yourself on the back for showing up and attracting to these frequencies, attracting to the vortexes of these communities, the Food Healing Oracle Deck community, the Center for Intuitive Food Therapy community, and obviously the amazing community a lot of you are here from tonight of Kyla's and the amazing things she and Damon and her whole crew have done. Blessings for being here. Thank you. We do this show weekly, and then we have a monthly show, and you're going to learn a whole lot about me through Kyla. She's just so great at sharing her wisdom of all her people. So thank you for being here tonight and getting a taste of what we do here in our world. Thanks, Kyla.
Thanks, everybody. Mwah. Thank you.
Take care. Blessings.
Bye. Enjoy.